everyone, welcome to PommyInOz. Hope we're all doing really well as we can be. Hey, what more can be said? If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe. It does mean the world to me. We love all the comments. We're really smashing them out as well. So thank you for that. You can become a member of the channel. Link is in the description. We do wonderful things. We sponsor Domiku. As you can see, the scarf there. We did the report the other week. Big Shangor as well, we sponsor her, so we give back to the community, and it's just a real nice little thing to do. If that is something that interests you, link is in there. Big shout out to the quackingcauldron.com.au who sponsor this segment. Thank you. It goes, the royalties from that go to good things, so thank you very much for that. And if you're a returning PommyInOzer, good day, how you doing? So, a tough loss. Let's talk about it against the Magpies. And it fucking hurts, doesn't it? I mean, it felt one of them games, didn't it? It was real, that first 5 minutes was really frantic and was real Carlton. It felt good, didn't it? You looked like Carlton were looking to penetrate it. Well, interesting enough, the transition was really good because of Whittaker's. And it felt like that first 5 minutes, you know what? I was really confident as well going into this game. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The boys look good. And then when that injury hit, there was like a Gold Coast vibe about it. Nothing worked. And the lines that we talk about on this show a lot, and it'll probably get another fucking battering in the fans' questions. It really was poignant, wasn't it? You really started to see them really react to the fact Whittaker wasn't there and drop back and fall back. And then when we had the ball, it felt like no one was there. It felt like they had to go long, or it felt they were too congested, so they had to short handball all the time and then got themselves into trouble. It felt really, to use the phrase my pop used to say, all at sea. He used to say that a lot. And it felt really out, didn't it? It felt, we know we like to play a possession game, but it felt like every time we had the ball, there was no purpose. It felt like, for the first time since probably the Gold Coast game, it felt like we had the ball for the sake of having the ball. And that's not taking a shine off. I mean, at the end of the day, we can cover things like umpire calls. We can cover things like, you know, if Sam Walsh had hit out Motlop 30 out. I mean, If my dear old Nana had wheels, she'd be a fucking bicycle, wouldn't she? I mean, you can't look at that. At the end of the day, it shouldn't have been 4 points. Do you know what I mean? And from the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes, when we kind of fucked off any form of safety and just went for it, you saw that when we play that style, we could trouble Pies. And ultimately, a bit like the Hawks against us, there was too much to do. It was a loss, and we deserved that loss. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and downplay what Collingwood did. Like, do you know what I mean? I still honestly stand by this, and it's not arrogance. We're a far better side. But at the end of the day, you play the game on its merits, and the Pies did sensational about what to kill Carlton with, and it eventually started to see it. And that Whittaker loss is absolutely huge. You saw everything just evaporate. It felt like that side felt like a round one fixture of where I thought they would be round one this year, in the terms of kind of lost between being shit, potentially being good, and a new system. It was a real disjointed performance, and I've got to look at things like just the simple things that are Voss's non-negotiables. The spread was poor. The fact that a big archetype of his, and people have talked about side bottom a lot being free, that is that two-way running of that midfield. You see that the midfield often drop into where the defence are. So what I mean by that is if the ball is coming here, our defence pack this area, and the mids slot in here, waiting for these guys to get back and come in the transition. You saw at times the midfield was 10 paces away, or they got drawn into the contest to help the boys out. It was a real... I know the vibe when I was there the other day was that the Gold Coast game, it was really off, and they were really disappointed. I reckon they'll feel like that again. It felt really off, and not understating the loss of Whittaker, it's a huge, huge fucking injury. and it's huge because you saw everything that was good about Carlton transition wise was Whittaker in when he played, but they really hung out the guys that took his role. Plowman played that role a lot, and where Whittaker had the benefit of there was a bit of pressure applied from his midfield, that when the pressure index dropped off, it was a weird. It felt like they were playing in mud at times, and I don't know if that was mental. I can only speculate. I think a part of that, I think it's really understated how much confidence Whittaker gives them, and I think they adapted to that shift. That shift mentally, there was a bit of an moment, and I agree with what a lot of people are saying. Critical mass in injuries. We're probably at that stage now. There's a few good blokes there that we can pick up to tide us over, but they're no Whittaker, and yeah, they've got a lot of work to do. It's a disappointing loss. You get the break now. Hopefully, Godspeed to Whittaker's. It ain't as catastrophic as a lot of people are making out. I do think, though, we've lost him for 6 rounds min. I really do. So that is what it is, isn't it? But, I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting into your questions. We've had a really big thing, and you know what? In the aids of my miserableness, I've tried to answer them all. So without any further ado, let's do it and see what we can find out. Thank you very much, though, for all those who have sent a question. Right then, lots to cover, some great questions, so let's fire straight into it. So we've got these wonderful legends. Drew asks, how do we fix those awful turnovers? It killed us, especially in the middle of the field. JV, Mio Gorgon, I've probably massacred that. Apologies, my friend. Why did we get open so easy in the majority of the game today? I know Whittaker's going down to hurt the structure, but sometimes it seems like man or two down the field. Spare man, yeah, we're going to cover that specifically in another question as well, so stay tuned for that. And QD, why do we head down only one wing, especially when it was far too open for the game? And Bazza, Big Bar Bazza, good day to you, mate. Discuss the Cripper in the ruck. Well, I mean, let's cover the Cripper in the ruck. It's necessity. We did see less of it this week than we did see other weeks, as the club did suggest. It's kind of necessity. I don't like it. I'm with Barbaz here. I think it's JSOS and TDK, for me, look superior in the ruck anyway. It's good to see Cripps is bad in the ruck, because I was beginning to think he was an alien, or a deity at least. But I agree with that. But to answer your question there, we're going to cover it a bit more. But how Carlton operate is that midfield, and I want you to take the half-back line and the half-forward line in both sets, works almost overtime. You see a lot of touches from Newman, Sard and Dog, particularly almost in the midfield. And you see a lot of touches from J. Mart when he plays, Motlop, Durden, Owens really up the field. And they actively work in both transitions. Now, Carlton did kind of go into one centre of focus down the left-hand side this week, which is predominantly their hot area anyway. What we didn't see this week was the switch. So it kind of looks like we go down wing, but we build our attack down one wing, and then we switch it, usually about 10 metres past halfway into the corridor, or earlier when them runners were. The simple fact here, and to answer your question, was that half-forward line and midfield really was hanging back and became, when it was a defensive transition, way too contested. So there was a lot of handballs getting themselves into trouble. That's why a lot of criticism from Dow this week, which I don't see, and that was the handballs into traffic. It was a necessity because they play a handball game. We're a large possession base, so the spread has to be better. They got too caught up in that. They really reacted to Whittaker going down. And you saw in the first 5 minutes, Whittaker took them intercept marks, and suddenly there was that nice spread because they had that confidence that the ball was going to be won back. But really, it was, I hate to use the L word, lazy running. Lazy running and making it easier on yourself by being there, which caused long kicks in attack. It caused defensively, though, an overuse, and ultimately, the pressure builds. Great questions, though, all of you. So this one is obviously going to be the hard one. So far, they're hoping it's not an AC joint. It's just his shoulder. But either way, you're probably looking at 6 weeks bare mins. described it. But Saras Boy, good day to you, friend of the channel. Well, I guess there's only one question now. How do we fill that hole? I imagine that's everyone's main question. Indeed it is, my friend. Rafi, good day to you. As pleasant as sitting in a cactus without underpants. It's vivid. With Whittaker being out for however long, I know he's trained as a fold in the off-season, but do we bring Kemp in? Or do we leave him forward and give Charlie some support? Where do you think he'll get the most use? Great question. Anthony, good day to you, mate. How do we cover Whittaker? Surely some tolls with draft picks and not Ben Curry? Is it, though? Do we target a tall defender in mid-season draft? Well, this is a great question. To answer the Kemp thing, big misconception about Kemp is his height. And he's the same height as Stephen May. Now, if you look at how the Demons play, May plays the identical role to Whittaker. He's looking from deep, coming up, taking that intercept mark, and in attack, he works as that transition backstop, but in defence, he drops very deep and then looks to attack the pill that way, often coming in the side of one-on-one contests, which is what killed Carlton this week. You saw a lot of players take marks against Carlton coming from the side of contests. That's Whittaker's job. That's May's job. And Kemp really can play that role. Has a really good thing. So I think Kemp will get first crack at this because I think this height thing is completely misguided. Look at Myercheck. He ain't the tallest, but he really does it. Jesus takes a lot of marks in the forward line again. Not very tall, but it's how you use the body. But you guys want to know who I've spotted? Stay tuned for Blue Abroad because you'll see a lot more. But let's take a look at who I've got. And I've been hot on this guy for a while. Mr. Sam Durden Sandful, former North Melbourne. Very distant relation of Corey Durden. But this is what he's been doing in the Sandful. 14.9 disposals, 84% efficiency, 5.4 marks, 5.5 rebound 50s, so similar score launch numbers as well to Mr. Jacob Whittaker. 1.8 contested marks, so he's definitely that kind of guy that peels off. Really strong in the air, very, very good field kicking, which is what you've got to replace Jacob Whittaker with. That is an understated part of his game. Score launch specialist, he's very athletic, and he's got very, very strong bodywork. So that is someone definitely I think Carlton will target. I would say that that's odds on, and that would be my favourite and a guy that I'm really, really hot on. I think that'll be it, the first pick Carlton have. I think that's about pick 13 at the moment. So I think that'll be it. But I do think internally, I think Brodie Kemp will get first crack at it. You've got to remember, Voss comes from a system that Port have always been considered a very small backline side, playing with one traditional tall and then playing a myriad of hybrids. So that would be Plowman and Kemp. And I would be very confident that in 2 weeks they would get a system that would do it. Because you look at Sard, you look at Doc, very good ball users. Newman understated. Stocks too. They've got the myriad there to cope. But I do think Sam Durden will be in and he will play sooner rather than later. Jamie Carraro, good day to you, my friend. Are you confident in making finals if Whittaker is out for an extended period of time and I'm mounting an injury list? No. In short, no. Carlton only need 4 more games traditionally to play in 90% of all top 8 finals. So scrap the conversation on percentage and stuff like that. Carlton, the way this ladder is going, if they get that 4-5 wins, I think that they'll get minimum from now to the end of the year. I'm not bothered. I think that you can adapt. I think that the club has adapted very well. I think in 4 weeks' time as well, you're going to have the majority of players, particularly when the crux comes round 18 onwards, back and available. And I think there's some very winnable games, and genuinely that stage as well. A few of the top 4 start to have squeaky bomb time. So I'm very confident. I'm still at 99% Carlton play finals. It's a bugger though, isn't it? It is a bugger, and it's something that Carlton are going to have to really be wary of. But I'm very confident in this list, and I'm very confident in the system that will be surprising some people and still make finals. Chris Gllenn, good day to you, mate. Always asks a probing question. Why are we not switching off half-back? Why do we bomb when we have no tolls? Why do we not try and run it out the back line? We do the same kick out every week and it's super predictable. So let's have a look at this, right? So what I want to show you here is the white is what we did this week. Now, you see the white has 2 avenues. Now, this intercept line just before 50 that goes inside is what Carlton didn't do this week. Now, the yellow is usually their auxiliary, and that's where the switch comes in. And genuinely, that's when you see Carlton attack the corridor with the handball movement. To go back to the first question that was answered, one of the earlier questions, why don't Carlton move it quicker, go through the corridor? It's because the lines of midfield were either too congested, so it became an over handball. And then that red is where Carlton don't often go, but you do see the switch, particularly with sides that have heavy forward pressure. Sydney was a good example. You did see the right-hand side. So what we found this week is Carlton really were reacting to really Whittaker not being there. They didn't really have faith, so the midfield just dropped back, and then they were always there. You saw some wonderful passage of play in the fourth at the start, and particularly the third. The midfield didn't leave the outside of 50, and they were all congested, and they all created problems, ended up to a long bomb and a turnover. So good spot, Chris, but genuinely that's just the midfield and the half-forward line not working hard enough and then not spreading. But good point, and it's something that Carlton are going to have to address. They did after the Gold Coast game. I expect to see the next 4 weeks it really be obvious that we don't do that anymore. Mark McCuey, good day to you. The wobbles came to play, simple as that. Footy gods were on their side. Our spread was nearly non-existent, long bombs into the 50. We're also 0-3 whenever we lost a key pillar. Look forward to hearing your take as always, PommyInOz. Cheers, mate. Well, let's see if we can do it. So what I want to show you here is this is the big problem with Carlton, and it's going back to that midfield. The orange line is that kick in, the red would be the hot zone. Now, that's where Carlton would be oscillated, the defence. We really do cram that hot zone, and it's really obvious to do. You really cram the contest. We play a front of the ball in forward and in defence. We have a lot of people at front of the ball, so genuinely Carlton are looking to spoil it, bring it to ground and get it out. Now, the midfield has a really important function here. They take the blind side, the open side, and the midfield this week drew themselves into the contest. Really overzealously hope the midfield would get it out and were too far away. The spread has to be really kind of linear, and this is what we saw this week. The second line, well, the third line almost, back line and half-back line would be in defence. The midfield didn't drop in and fill in them slots, so when Carlton turned it over, the only option was to kick it along to the wing, which created rebound inside 50 entries. It's about moving with purpose. And this week, the boys didn't. And as you saw, Michael, it killed us. So really, that is it. You're looking at the midfield there to really do it. And if you look at Cherry, you look at Walsh, a lot of them touches in the back line showing they didn't spread as much. So great spot, Michael. Hopefully that answers your question. And something to look out for next week, because if there isn't at all, they're going to have to do it. Chris, again, with a comical question. Can we get a royal commission into why the frees weren't paid? Well, I mean, I think looking at it and calming down after the game, they got a lot of abuse from myself, the umpires. I don't think you get them free kicks against Sam Walsh in the last 5 seconds of the game anyway. I don't think it happens. I don't think you often see him. It was a poor umpired game. It hurts. But I look at it this way. That game shouldn't have been that close. Collingwood should have put that away. Testament to the boys for staying in for that long and making it ugly. But also, Carlton played their way, and all things considered, it should have been like a Hawthorn game at the worst. Carlton had such a massive lead that they should have been able to just drip themselves to the victory. I'll see if I can have a word, though, with the Queen and see what happens, mate, but I can't promise much. Big Tim, good day to you. Always ask some good questions. Was this Newman's best game for the club? Also, is Philp likely for Nunes or Cottrell? Be interesting with Nunes and Cottrell. You'd say he's more of a Cottrell player. Plays a lot more aggressive in the final third. Can't see him replacing Nunes. Nunes plays more behind the ball. He wasn't very good this week, though, Nunes. So, I mean, he will be someone who's at jeopardy. Be interesting to see how Carlton function that one. Maybe less rotation for Doc and players like that. So, I think that might be interesting. Chesney did play a lot behind the ball. So, maybe Nunes comes out. And that would allow Philp to come in with Cottrell going out as well for Jack Martin. It'd be interesting to see what Carlton do, because they definitely need discipline, and Philp has got that. So that would be interesting. But Nick Newman, 20 touches, 90% efficiency, 359 metres gained, 5 intercept possessions. This was his heat map. He was everywhere. And one important part of his role, and this is why I think Nunes may drop out this week, was look at them touches there. Nunes traditionally protects O'Brien on that flank in his rotation. And it was Newman's job this week, and he was exceptional at it. And there's been a lot of calls for Newman to play wing, and I think defensive wing may be a place for him to go. I really enjoyed his game. Statistically, probably wasn't his best game for Carlton, but I think influence-wise, without a shadow of a doubt. So I am totally with you, Tim. Great spot. I think he was sensational, and hopefully that answers your question. But I think you may see a new role for Newman, because I do think that Nunes role here maybe robs a bit of ball distribution, and I think Newman's got that. James Cass, good day to you, mate. Friend of the channel. Lucky to be close. Second quarter got very lucky. 1 goal 8. Should have been 6 goals half time. It should have been, yeah. Testament really for the pressure. And I think Carlton really did play up to the pressure. I thought they were very good around the ball. They weren't spectacular, but I thought Carlton really knew they were off. And they tried to make it awkward. And they tried to really make it a hard entry inside 50. It wasn't very successful, but I think the pressure and part of the game, they did very well. I agree with you. It shouldn't have been that close, though. I think it flattered us more, and it was more of a testament to how ugly we made it at times. It wasn't a free-flowing game, and I think if it was a free-flowing game, I do think Carlton took away some of their skill set by not making it, and they really did react to that Whittaker loss. Like we say, in the first 10 minutes, Carlton were by far the better side, and a lot of that came from Whittaker in the 4 hard bits of ball he won, which really is a testament to how Vossi plays. So it's going to be interesting to see how they set up. But I agree with you. We did get lucky, but I think that's a testament to our culture and how hard we worked. Big Ray goes to show we don't have the manpower, but at least they're gutsy, pure heart. Rickster, I'm not dirty, cracking game, 80k, having the best day out. We have more injuries than West Coast and still won't lose to them. I love how gutted we are. We gave our all. Mate, seeing Sauce gutted, it was close and it's a tough one to lose. I don't want to really get into the situation, though, where I praise them trying. I think that's more of a testament for how bad we've been. I think it's always been there, the pride. And I think now they're seeing it because they're getting the fruits of their labour. It's a lot more easier to be proud when you're getting the results than when you're not. So I don't want to get into the situation of, well done, boys, you lost. But they did show heart. And I think that's something that we're forgetting. Maybe not to praise them when they have won in these tight games. We do get into a culture at the moment, like the Hawthorn game, where we vilify them. That was heart as well. Sometimes, though, you can put that heart in and not win it. And this was one of them occasions. It's gutting, and it hurts because it's your rivals. But you could see how much it meant to them. And that's good. And that's only going to hold them in good stead as the seasons go on and their careers progress. That togetherness, that willingness to fight, and that desire was there. So hats off to them. Not the result, but honestly, the heart is there. And I think that's abundantly clear, win, lose or draw. Eric asks, if the team gets a good run with injuries, 9 flags coming, mates. We haven't seen our best 22 as well. So we've had 8 wins without our best 22. So that's something. It's going to be very interesting to see when Harry enters this side, because obviously you've seen how good Charlie's been and we saw how good Harry was solo last year. And it'll be interesting when we get that back line back. I think looking at McGovern now, he's 5-6 weeks away as well. He's someone in Marchbank as well who have probably got a part to play in this tale. It's going to be very interesting because obviously they're going to have a real when Marchbank comes back particularly, he's going to have a real key pillar down there. So that's going to serve him in good stead. These injuries are really going to teach these boys hard lessons very quickly. So I agree with you. You need to stay fit though, and it's a tough one because it seems to be the same positions as well. Forward where we don't have much depth, and back, and that midfield touch would have stayed untouched, which shows how important midfield is to this side. So it's going to be very interesting because I think Whittaker for me was the one that I'm like, please don't get hurt, him and Young. So Young's developed very well, and who comes in there, you do need a body down there. It's going to be interesting, but I agree with you. I think when this side's fully fit, look out. Connor Daniels, why did our forward line look so congested? But theirs didn't. Was it concerned how many times intercepted our forward 50 entries? What did you think of our forward pressure? I personally thought it exited too quickly. Well, let's have a look at it. I think this is again to go back. So you look at the blue, that's Carlton, there's the red hot zone. What you saw this week is that red there, when Whittaker was there, was a front of the ball. So what they do is the half forward line, particularly the midfield and the small forwards, they sit in front. We don't often play in behind. What that is usually we have 3 guys go to the ball, as you can see demonstrated there, and 2 fall back, right? And then 1 lurks coming in from the side. What we saw this week is it was about 10 metres. Instead of being a front, it was a back from the ball. And that was a reaction for Whittaker in not being there. 2 things that creates. 1, space to use the ball. You saw how Collingwood exited the ball. Handball away from traffic into space, which allowed then a very open kick to penetrate Carlton through the back. Caught in transition as well because the lines were so far spread, they couldn't close off the corridor and they couldn't funnel it down to one wing, which is what we always see. So it's a very disciplined approach. You've got to remember that. It's a very disciplined approach, and that's how Vossi likes to play. This week it wasn't there. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Carlton wants the no Whittaker's not there. I don't think you'll see it. I think they'll have faith in it because they had faith in the last 5. We saw what happens. But definitely, both of you were spot on, very easy. And it was really because of positioning and what you do off the ball. That is so important in today's game. And it's good to see people are starting to notice these tactics after I've been crying out for them for 2 years. Paul Hill probably has been mentioned. Thoughts on Dow's game? Let's have a look. Surprisingly not asked as much. 21 touches, 76% efficiency, 5 score involvements and 22 pressure acts. Now, I want you to look at it. This is a very Kennedy-type game. And we said that, me and Paolo were saying the closest person probably who is holding his spot is Kennedy. You'd say that's the weak link. Very impressed with his game. Now, I will say one thing about Dow, right? One thing about him. And that is, it was a good game. But I think what we saw this week, and I'm not saying this is his fault. So I don't want anyone coming at me in the comments and go, Pom, you've got it in for him. I have no prerequisite for any of our list. Couldn't give a shit who plays, if I'm honest with you. Couldn't care less, right? Just want to win. But you've got to understand his game, all right? Now, his game is naturally getting the ball and taking off. That is his strength. You can't coach that out. If you coach that out of Dow is shithouse, right? Now, let's talk about the pressure acts. That's a huge improvement on him. His tackling is hugely improved and his defensive positioning is hugely improved. This midfield would need 3 or 4 games to play with him because they were playing to him as if he was Kennedy, expecting him to play the 1-2. Kennedy beats the midfield by playing a 1-2 in the handball or looking to get the ball going forward. Dow's strength is playing and getting the ball and running through people, which then you saw created a lot of separation between him and Hewitt, him and Chera, him and Walsh. And you saw often he was almost playing ahead of the game because of his situation. That is something that only playing together will fix. You can't coach that out of Dow. So for me now, Vossi has got an option if Kennedy's not back next week. Do you drop Dow and look at trading Dow on? Because I think Dow doesn't suit the ball movement of Vossi, right? And that's not being harsh on him. I think it would be a very good acquisition. Or do you change and play to his strengths? Because I think he's good enough, right? So that is a question for Carlton, probably in the off-season or probably this week in the bye. But that is my takeout. I did like what Dow did. I just think Dow's strengths don't suit the way this midfield is. Great question, Paul. I did like his game, though. It was serviceable for me, and I think it was a good base to build on. It left me wanting to see a bit more, but them playing in a system that suits it. The gorgeous MEP, good day to you, my darling. Is Dom ready for the Bombers? Let's talk about Dom. Any excuse. Stay tuned for the VFL wrap, but shout out to Dom. We had our dinner together, and I did say to him, fuck off everyone, go forward and kick a snag. 8 touches, 3 marks, 1 tackle and 1 goal. And it was a well-taken goal. He snuck forward, didn't he? He came out from the back, took a leaping grab. It was a well-taken goal. I was so proud of him, and I can't tell you how proud I am. And I know Dom switches in and out of this channel. If you're watching, mate, I am so proud of you. I don't think I've cheered so hard this week. And if you watch the live, I'm a bit boisterous. So super hats off. Is he ready? I wouldn't be shit scared if he played. I wouldn't be shit scared. I know he's been playing that Whittaker in row and he's putting a lot of work. He is very raw though. He's still got a lot of work to do. And for me, the sky's the limit for Dom. Every week he impresses me. See Murkoff with Dom. I don't want him in. purely because I want to see him get the confidence and I want to see him play elite level football when he's ready. When he's ready, not with some glaring deficiencies. But he's getting close and I can't wait to see him. Bryce Riches asks, Bam Bam to come back. What do we do with Dow? Good question. And Goran, Jesus to go back. Reed play well. Tone off good mark. Kick cool head. Bring in Kempy as a forward. And Martin as marking targets. Carroll out. Kennedy in. Be interested this one. I mean, I don't think Jesus will go back. I think his strengths are in the forward half of the ground. I think when you look at Cam, people forget Cam was a defender first and foremost. That is his strength. It was the latter part of his career that he became a swingman. And then some people cling on to the 2 games he played as a junior and a mid. And he's a mid, but he is a defender. That is his strengths. And I would say that when Carlton drafted him, it would have been primarily at that. Got to remember, Kempy is the same height as May. And May plays almost an identical role to Whittaker's in positional strength. So I think Kemp will get first crack down the back. I do think Martin will come in. Your outs are the same as mine. I would probably say Carroll. I would say, if I was being harsh, I would say it's Carroll and Dow out and Kemp and Bam Bam in. And I do think Cottrell will come out for Jack Martin. It could even be Motlop based on last week. I think there'll be 3 changes this week. They're my predictions. I think it's stiff on Dow, but I think that they will prioritise how the ball moves. I don't think they'll give Dow time, which is unfortunate. I don't know as well how you could play all their midfields and then add a rotation. I think Carlton's system is so strong that you can't really bring Walsh and Cherrett in and play one full time on the wing. I think that would be suicide. So I think that they're going to have to go with that. So they're my changes, but great questions, guys. It'd be interesting though, because I'm not against Jesus down the back at all. So it'd be an interesting one. Brian, this was in reference to pissing in a nettle. Is it a brag or do you sit down to piss? I wish it was a brag. Nettles are a bit different. In England and UK, they're like a range of heights if you go into a nettle field. So it doesn't matter how big or small, you're going to get stung. We've all done it though, who are Poms, I think. And thankfully, Ginnivan didn't kick 4. So I keep my luscious dark locks. A great mate of mine, Blair Mel, good day to you. I think I saw the hub, something about a big cocks. Very well played. Josh, Collingwood fans love big cocks. He was very good, wasn't he, Mason? Got to say, I remember Swoop, Luke and Kev saying he'd give us trouble, and he seemed to be everywhere, didn't he? Especially when he floated down back. Caused chaos in our back line. And, I mean, our forward line, just the way that he peeled off. So, yeah, the big Texan took the piss, didn't he? Big Darren, the Daz Mail, good day to you, friend of the channel. Like Tim's question on Cottrell, Noons, Carroll, Motlop struggled but stepped up. Good signs from Lob and Dow. Love Cheris, Sard, Doc. Never gave in. So let's do a 2-pronged attack with that. Here's Lockie O'Brien's game. Now you saw there, a lot of touches on the left-hand side, and I love it when he switches on the right. Left foot on the right-hand side. A lot of these touches on the left-hand side as well, they brought Newman up to protect him. So we'll talk a bit about Newman. But really enjoyed his game. 3 score involvements, 3 intercepts as well. He really gives us something. 76% efficiency. Really enjoyed Lockie's game and didn't quite have the effect as he usually does in the forward half of the ground. But different side of him this week. Really made himself available for a lot of link-up plays. And showed off his 2-way running this week. So I think that's a great spot by yourself, Daz. And let's have a look. So these are Cherra, Sard, Doc and Newman. So Cherra spent 75% of the time down back, 108 disposals, 82% core efficiency, 26 intercepts, 5 score launches and over 2,000 metres gained between them. They were influential and it's real refreshing to know that I predict with Carlton not having a tall, I think we will mirror a Port Adelaide game system where they used to play with 1 tall and then 2 medium-sized players and then 3 smaller players. And I think that's really key. And I think we started to see the foundations of that. So I think Kemp will come in and Plowman will be them 2 medium-sized players. And then them guys there will be really expected to create the exits. Whittaker does a lot of exit work for Carlton. So I think you'll see a bit of a shift into bringing the ball to ground and playing it out. So I think that'll be a very exciting transitional game. and I predict that's what's going to happen. But them numbers there were really sensational for them. Great spot downs. They were inspirational, particularly Sard. I thought Sard was blinding. So that's it then. Thank you very much for the questions. Much love to you all. Disappointing this weekend, but as always, we dust ourselves on and we go next week or the week after the bye. See you. There's a lot of content coming up for the mid-year draft and a watch-along for the draft. So look forward to seeing you there. Till next time, stay safe. Pom out.